Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this new video where we're going to try her out. The brand new ZX-4RR, unique in its kind because it brings something like this to such a small displacement. Exactly 400, a 4-cylinder inline engine inspired by its 1980s ancestor. The ZX-4RR, which used to compete against its rivals. Two-stroke engines of that era. Today I came to visit my friends at Boschia. Not because the bike is available for a test ride, unfortunately for you, but rather because the bike belongs to Flavia, who works here at Boschia and today kindly will let me try it out. Flavia, probably some of you, maybe those who came to buy bikes in the used section of Boschia Moto, already recognized her. Others might know her from her Instagram profile NinjaGirl94. And so I thank you in advance for the trust you are giving me.
Please make sure you do.
It's a new bike, so letting someone else handle it. Has someone else ridden it?
No, only you and my boyfriend.
Here we are, all right. Anyway, I've studied the bike thoroughly, but I'm curious to try it. Give me some more details at this point, though.
4-cylinder inline engine, 77 horsepower, 80 with pressurized airbox, and 39 Newton meters of torque. I won't tell you anything else. I'll give you the keys. Please don't wreck it. Go ahead and try it out.
All right, gentlemen, let's start today's test by saying that I'm really excited to try this one. ZX-4RR. First of all, because it's something new. Second, because for such a small engine size, 77 horsepower is not a small amount. And third, it's an inline 4. Listen to how it sounds. Listen to it. Guys, I think that right now, if I were a bit younger, with a few less years on my identification, this would absolutely be the bike I'd want in my garage. The bike, apart from the exhaust, is completely original. I'm happy because now I can bring you along. A test in which you can see yourselves too, since maybe in the future you'll go and buy the Ninja. The fact that it has an electronic shifter and blipper makes me really enjoy it. We're clearly already in map mode. The dashboard, the onboard electronics are quite present, but as usual, I'd like to start with the riding comfort. How is it on board this little thing? And above all, I'll answer the question. So, it's a motorcycle you can use in the city. It's good for a guy or a girl who's approaching the world of two wheels. Well, we'll find out by the end of this video. But let's start, as we said, with the riding comfort. Right now, I'm 6 feet tall with a fairly solid build. I feel a bit like Yogi on this bike, which clearly has small dimensions, but I have to say that the comfort is not bad at all. The seat is well padded and it has a slight dip in the center. It's kind of like a spoon that wraps around your buttocks and makes you comfortable. But it doesn't get in the way if you want to slide off the seat while leaning into a turn. Regarding the clip-on handlebars, I have to say they initially look quite wide. They're so open, but after the first few turns, you notice a few more degrees of angle. Personally, I wouldn't have minded it. The foot pegs aren't set very far back. They remain pretty central and under the rider's seat, but even so, you can grip the tank really well with your legs. Kawasaki has designed it in this very long and narrow way, and above all, it gives us a nice lateral support. When coming out of a lean, the bike is still very easy to handle, thanks also to its weight of not even 180 kilos ready to ride. But what really stands out the most is definitely the engine revs. And with this, I would like to open the chapter about the engine, to talk to you in detail about this 4-cylinder liquid-cooled engine with Euro 5 Plus regulations, as the owner just pointed out to us. The bike has 77 horsepower and it reaches 80 when the airboxer reaches the right pressure. And unfortunately, that's what we have available. And maybe it's the only big flaw of this bike, but there's a reason for it, and I'll explain it to you in just a moment. We have 39 Newton meters of torque. As I was saying, it has a very high engine RPM. In fact, even the horsepower I mentioned earlier is reached above 10,000 RPM. To make it go fast, in fact, we are obliged to ride it above that RPM range, because the low and mid-range of this ZX-4RR, unfortunately, they're just not there. But remember, it's a bike made for entry-level use. So, for someone who maybe isn't very familiar with two wheels and especially isn't used to handling too much power, however, this could also turn into an advantage because we have the possibility to ride up to 10,000 revolutions per minute in a calm, relaxed way without having to push ourselves to the limit, and then have a nice switch, a bit of horsepower and torque especially. That comes out from that point on. The onboard electronics are robust. We have more than just the electronic shifter, which I just told you about, and also several engine maps that affect the throttle response. There are basically 4 maps: rain, road, sport, and rider. The last one is customizable to the rider's preferences, with the possibility to also disable controls, such as traction control. And to complete the electronics part, we also clearly find a full LED headlight as standard and a thin film transistor screen that's really easy to read. And that's it for electronics. I'd say it's time to start talking about the chassis. On this ZX-4RR, we find Showa suspension, both at the front and at the rear. As for the braking system, at the front we find a dual disc setup operated by calipers that are proprietary to Kawasaki. They're probably rebranded Nissan calipers with rubber hoses and a Nissan radial master cylinder as well. It's a solution that's not bad for the type of engine displacement and horsepower we have available, but it might be a bit unbalanced. With the front suspension, because let me show you, we're at 24 kilometers per hour. And if we even slightly touch the brakes, the bike really dips a lot at the front. So this makes me think either the system has a good bite, maybe even too much, or that the front suspension might be a bit too soft. In general though, I don't mind the braking system. This judgment clearly concerns street use. If the use you're going for is more racing, so more focused on the track, you will definitely have to opt for modifying some components of the bike to make it sharper and especially effective, even in that area. And with this, I don't mean that the ZX-4RR would perform badly on the track. With stock parts, everything depended on the rider's experience. The more you seek performance, the more high-performing the components on the bike will need to be. And since we've arrived on the shores of Lake Bracciano, at this point I'd say it's time to start getting a gut feeling for how this bike performs, and especially its components. How they respond to a slightly more spirited ride, the rear shock. Unlike the front forks, which have a softer part and then stiffen up all at once. I feel it's nice, responsive, it has good stiffness. The bike itself, I can confirm, is really very easy to handle. Leaning into the turn is progressive, as is coming back up. Overall though, it actually works quite well. I have to change my mind. There's a kind of balance between the brakes and the chassis, a special balance, but it works to make it go fast. And definitely the brakes anyway are something you won't need to use much, because this is a bike that needs to be allowed to flow. A bit like its predecessor. Another small drawback I notice when going at higher speeds is the wind protection. The standard windshield offers very little to no protection. It's really a shame to have such low torque at low revs. Probably by remapping and making some adjustments, we'll gain a little something extra. That might help patch up this little flaw with the engine. But I can guarantee you that once you get to around 9 or 10,000 revolutions per minute, that's when the real fun begins. This ZX-4RR is really a lot of fun, but not everything that glitters is gold. On one hand, there's a very effective, fun bike, but on the other hand, there's a big obstacle to overcome. The list price is $9,690, which inevitably puts it in competition with higher category bikes at relatively similar prices. For the sake of completeness, before saying goodbye, I also want to tell you that within the price of €9,690, you'll also find the electronic shifter included, complete with blipper. You can shift up and down entirely without the clutch. And also the rear shock is fully adjustable, unlike the front forks. That's all from Freccia Verde then. I want to thank Flavia and Bocciamoro again for the loan. And of course, thank you all for watching. I'll see you down here in the comments. Let me know what you think about this little green beast. That's all from Freccia. As usual, I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking the red button. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. And it really helps me a lot. Then leave a like, share the video. That way you can make me 100% happy. Hi guys.